In this video, we're going to take a look at pivot tables. Now, pivot tables are a very powerful tool in Microsoft Excel in most new spreadsheet applications, and they allow you to extract and summarize data from a large data set. So when you have a very large data set and you want to summarize data from it, then pivot tables would be the thing to use. So far, what we've been doing in spreadsheets is using data as it has been presented or performing calculations with that data in its raw form. But one of the strengths of a spreadsheet application is not just to be able to perform calculations with it, but to be able to analyze data, okay, and to extract meaning from data that you put into spreadsheet applications. So pivot tables allow you to, in a sense, perform some sort of analysis. So we're going to look at a simple example of the type of analysis that we do with pivot tables today in this video, and it's going to give you a demonstration of how you go ahead creating pivot tables. Now, one of the I wouldn't call it a challenge, but one of the things that sometimes is a little bit tricky with pivot tables is that you have to envision the table that you are creating before you actually go ahead and create it. So you would need to know what the rows are going to be, okay, in your table, what the rows are going to be represented as in your table before you go ahead and create the table. Say, for instance, I want to find out, or I want to summarize. I want to summarize by school the number of events in all that the school is taking part in. Okay, so let me explain what I mean. So we have these secondary schools here: Marigot Secondary, Vieux-Fort Secondary, Gros Islet Secondary, Castries Comprehensive, and Dennery Secondary. And we want to find out, okay, for each school, what is the total number of events that they will be participating in, okay? And we also want to filter that data by district. So let's deal with the first part first. Now, to create a pivot table, one of the first things you have to do, okay, is you go to your insert tab, because that is where you're going to find your pivot table icon. Okay, so in your insert tab, so I'm going to select the block of data that I want to gather my information from. Okay, so just like we did in advanced filtering, so we have this block of data that we want to gather our information from. We have this block of data that we want to gather our information from, and we're going to select it. So after we've selected it, we click on pivot table. Okay, so in this dialog box that pops up here, there are some things that we need to select. It says select a table or range. We've already done that. Okay, so the table or range would be the full block of data that we want. Again, notice that I have omitted all the other stuff to the top left, to the top right and bottom of it. Okay, and also I am choosing where I want the pivot table to be placed. Now, for simplicity, okay, you notice that you can post it to a new worksheet, but for simplicity, I'm going to place the pivot table on the same sheet where I currently am. So I select existing worksheet, and just like we did before with advanced filtering, I can just click the location where I want the pivot table to begin. So I select this cell, okay, and then I click OK. And right away, we come up across this pane here, which is where we're going to begin building our pivot table. Okay, Now remember, what we want is to show by school the number of events that the school is taking part in. So in a table like that, if you envision a table like that, then the rows of that table would be what we build the records on. So there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 schools. So each school would represent a row. Okay, so imagine a table where you had the names of the schools in one column, and in the next column you have the number of events. Okay, so that's what I meant by you have to envision the table. So your schools are going to be the rows. So I'm going to select school here, and I'm going to drag the word school down to rows. Okay, let me just move this here so that you can see what's beginning to happen. So rows. So each of these schools here, okay, represents a row, but we're not done yet. Now we know that we have a column here called number of events, but these are the number of events for each athlete. Okay, so we are going to select number of events, and we're going to drag number of events down to values, because these are the values that we want to be shown for each school. Notice already that my pivot table has begun to do some sort of summarization for me, because look what it says here, sum of number of events. So without me even doing anything, it has already given me per school the number of events that they are performing in. Okay, so number of events. Now, if I didn't want the sum of the number of events, but I wanted the average of the number of events, then I could click on this sum of number of events icon here, button here, and I can go to value field settings, and I can change it to average. Okay, and I can click OK, and it will give me the average number of events per school instead of the total number of events per school. But that's not what I want. What I want is the sum of the number of events, so I'm going to leave it as sum. You can explore these other options on your own, and I click OK, and there we have it. Okay, and there we have it. If I also wanted to see the total amount of money that if I wanted to see the total amount of money, let me just format this to currency. If I wanted to see the total amount of money needed to pay for the athletes for the school's events, then I could take my total cost and I could drag it down to values, and it says sum of total cost, and I could now see how much money it would take for me to have these athletes participating in the meet. And I can also go ahead and format this to currency if I wish. Okay, I can format it to currency, and it's a table like all other tables in Microsoft Excel, in spreadsheets. So we can do the same formatting that we can do for any other sheet. Okay, so what if now I wanted to filter? Okay, I'm going to click here. What if I wanted to be able to filter this by district? So I'm going to select district, and I'm going to drag district down to filters. Okay, and then I can now do some filtering according to district. So I can select East, and it will show me the East District schools. Now this would work a lot better if you had a much larger variety of something to filter by, because we don't have that many. Each school is like from each district, so we don't have that much data to filter by. Okay, so this, gentlemen, is how you perform a pivot table. And as you can see, it is it's a powerful summarizing tool that you can use to show and represent data. You can find other tutorials and other explaining videos and other resources all over the internet on how to do this. So if you don't understand this 100% as yet, you can always go ahead and do some additional research, some additional tutorials on it, on YouTube or looking through the internet. Okay, so thank you for watching.